If we will not talk about the inheritance in the classes, it would definitely not do justice with the classes. The main role of the classes, and in fact the major difference between the structure and classes, is its inheritance property. And in simple terms, inheritance is nothing extraordinary. We see that in a day-to-day life. Like for example, if there is a tall person out there, there are high chances that his family or his child are definitely going to be tall. But that's not always the case. But in the Swift, we have got a simple exercise to do out here. Now, what we are trying to design is a simple bank account, and we will try to implement the inheritance property out there. Like in other many languages, we got a concept of parent and child classes. In the Swift, we call them as a base class and a subclass. But apart from that, there is not much drastic difference, and in fact, the concept remains the same as with most other languages. So let's just have a look around. At the line number 4, we are having a base class. In the Swift, when you define a class, it is not at all by default inferred or simple inherited by any of the class. Now, in many other languages like Java, whenever you create a class, it inherits from a base class out there. But this is not the case in the Swift. So we are defining a class keyword and naming that as a simple bank account. In that, we have got some properties and some methods. The properties are really simple. The current balance starts from the 0.0, that is a double, and it is being automatically inferred as a double. And there is also a fixed deposit, that is 500. And let's just say that the fixed deposit is some kind of FD, which is compulsory out there in some of the bank accounts. So when I ask for the summary, now notice this is again a type of the property which is quite common and a declaration in the string. Now it is not at all a method, it's a property. You can edit that and you can do all of things like that. Now notice I'm returning that your current balance is, and then I'm getting an access to the current balance. And then there is a text detail submission, and it is not being submitted yet, but you can go around and have a look around that. You can define anything inside that function, put some return types and all of that. I'll leave that as a simple exercise for you. Now, once we have defined our base class, we definitely want to make an object from the base class, and we can simply say that let a person1 opens a bank account. That means person1 is now an object from the base class, which is bank account, and I want to access the summary for that. So when I access account summary, I can simply say person1.summary, and that's it. That's how you define a class and you create a object from that. Good so far, but how to define a subclass? Now, before I move on to the code, I would like to write a couple of lines just for the practice. For example, if I just say class and I name it something, I'll just name it as something. And if I want to make a superclass, means I want to inherit from some class, I would be simply saying bank account. And even if I don't write anything, now this class actually have an access, the object from this class have an access to all the properties and methods out there from the base class. For example, if I declare sum as, or sum var sum is equals to, let's just say something, and this is how we do that, and there we go. Oops, I did something wrong out here, and let me do it again, and there it is. I really mistyped out there, but no worries about that. So what I wanted to show that when I declare an object of the something class, even I haven't declared any properties or method inside that, still I have got an access to all the properties and all of the details like tax details and fixed deposit from my class. But again, this doesn't make sense. If I'm going to inherit from a base class, I definitely want to make some edits in that. And without that, this will definitely going to make any sense out there. So we are having a subclass being defined, and its definition actually says that I will inherit some of the properties from the bank account. So the syntax is simple. I say the class keyword, name of the class, then I type infer it as a simple bank account. That means I want to inherit some of the properties from this class. And after that, I simply say var interest amount is 5. Let's just say this is a saving account and it gets some of the interest based on the balance and the typical calculation. Now, interesting part is, let's say I have got this property out there that is summary, and I want to make some change in that property, not a drastic change, but I simply want to have some changes. So how we can do that? Now, if I'll just make this as the same summary class out there, now this is definitely going to make a confusion between the objects, and objects will say, I don't know what to access. Which summary are you talking about, this one or this one? Because you have got access to both of them. But when you write the keyword override, it says, okay, I'll take the function or the properties from the base class, and you want to like override them, means you want to edit them somehow. So I simply say var summary, and rest of the things remain same. But also between the override, I wanted to access all of the details from that summary from the base class. So how I can get access to that? Now, in order to access any of the base class properties or method, you write the super keyword. So I said return super.summary. Now this whole keyword super.summary will get you an access to the entire this part of the code. Once you did that, you can now edit them, append them, amend them, whatever you like to have that. So I simply say plus, and this is really a simple syntax. I get an interest amount dollars. It's pretty basics out there right now. So this is how we do that. So once again, we are defining some subclass objects, and we say that the person2 is now an object of saving bank account class. And when it accesses the summary, you can notice, I'll drag it a bit. You can notice it got an access and says account summary, and your current balance is 0.0, and you get an interest of $5. Pretty good and pretty basics as well. Now, also, I would like to show you one more thing, that whenever we design an application for a Mac, watchOS, or maybe iPhone, or whatever you are interested in, that we mostly like to inherit the properties from many of the base class being defined in the frameworks. We most of the time just want to edit a few chunks of them, so we use it quite a lot, override and all of that. But let's say for some reasons you do not want any of the overrides being made from your base class. There is also an option. For example, if I place my cursor out there on the line number 8, I have got a keyword that says final. Now, once I have this keyword final, it says that overridden of this property or overriding this property or function is not at all allowed. And for the same, it gives us an error. If I click on that, you can see that var overrides a final, and I can drag it a bit, final var, which is a property. So yes, we can do that as well. And most of the time, but people say that why do we actually want to have a final? We want to inherit that and all that, but that's not the case. Many times you want to finalize your properties and classes so that by mistake you do not override them later on in the part of the code.